What's up and welcome to the DualSense podcast for episode 151. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jason, and I'm not joined by Travis this time, your normal co-host. He, like he tends to do, takes vacation around all the big things typically. So I have gone back to the well and gotten our faithful guest co-host, Mr. Ryan Betson from the Pop Culturist for the Players podcast out of Australia. And he's always so gracious with his time, and still the only guest that we have ever had on the show. And I think I'm really going to try to keep it that way in perpetuity forever, because it's just part of the lore now at this point. But Ryan, thank you so much for doing the show, and welcome.
Dude, no worries at all. Thank you for having me again. Like it's kind of fun to be like that, elusive regular guest. It's kind of fun. I do like the lore of it, but like it most definitely puts me in an upper echelon of quality that I should be sitting in. So, but thank you.
There's not very many better, if that, especially on your side of the pond, if you will, in my opinion. So we're glad to have you. And I'm glad to have you. And we're coming off the heels of Summer Game Fest. We're
literally minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like 30 minutes ago it ended, maybe 25 minutes ago it ended. Ryan has been up. He just actually, he's regurgitating this with me because he's already live streamed Summer Game Fest for his own show. He is up very early was up very early in the morning, Australian time. And so he's joining us now to discuss all of the week's PlayStation news, not just Summer Game Fest, as well as rumors, new game releases, and much more. Of course, we do it all in under 90 minutes every week and post new episodes on Monday on all of the normal podcast feeds across the world, including YouTube, where we also share gameplay videos occasionally. And we've been doing quite well there for us, actually, on YouTube, seeing some good growth there.
Yeah, YouTube has made the decision to like correctly label things as podcasts.
So
it's
actually awesome.
It helps better for like the search. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's becoming one of our, but it's probably becoming our biggest platform for the show, which is interesting for us. So anyway, you can also find us on social media. We're on Twitter. That's our primary go-to, where we go by at the DualSense Pod. But we're also on Instagram and Facebook, if that's your cup of tea. Our website is thedualsensepodcast.wordpress.com. You can get the shows there each week as well, in addition to show notes and our bios and pictures, if you want to see what we look like, how handsome we are.
As I am seeing your face right now, it is
Correct.
Worth the dive. Go check out the website.
And I tweeted earlier, Ryan, I wanted to set this up a little bit because we've got a meeting of the worlds here, the meeting of the minds, meeting of cultures, if you will. We've got your lovely Australian voice, and then we've got my Southern drawl here, American Southern drawl. So it's a very sexy combo in the ears of our listeners, I believe. So I think they'll enjoy it.
It is like it's a lovely mix. However, the Australian like thankfully I don't have like the most prominent Australian accent. Like it's certainly still there. Like I'm rewatching the Transformers movies right now because the new one comes out. I love Beast Wars. My son loves Beast Wars. I'm like, let's watch all of them again. First movie, horrendous. It's only going to get so much worse from here. But like there's that Australian woman in it, and her her accent isn't even that intense, but surrounded by like an American, I guess a Californian American accent, it sounds so painful because like the Australian accent is just, it sounds like a chainsaw. It's fucking horrible.
You mean compared to Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox? It just
I'm just going to put it out there. Look, a complete tangent, right? That movie is bad, and Shia LaBeouf is utterly useless in that movie. He's in the same way that Indiana Jones, if you take him out of that movie, it would have happened anyway. Yeah. Same thing here. Megan Fox is and should have been the main character of this movie. She has way more character development. She has way more skills and potential and like an arc.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf is fucking useless.
Not to mention she's a smoke show.
Oh, yeah. The level of sexualization of Megan Fox in this movie.
Yes.
Even the understanding that she's like supposed to be in high school. So she's like, what, 16, 17? Everyone's like, yeah, you're a criminal. Criminals are hot. I'm like, ew. Like she's hot because she's legitimately like 24 in that movie. Yeah. And shout out to like her boyfriend in the movie who's like the jockiest jock that's ever jocked. I'm pretty sure he was like the same like jock that they did in like Tokyo Drift as well.
Yeah.
Talk about typecast. He's way more typecasted than even like Michael Cera at this point.
Yeah, truly. That's that's the nail on the head. You're absolutely right. But anyway, what is this show about? So let's jump into the news here straight away. Starting with number one, Mr. Jeff Keighley brought his annual extravaganza to the world on Thursday and featured numerous announcements, reveals, and updates over its almost 2 hour runtime. And here is a rundown of everything that we saw that was PlayStation related. And this is in order here. And I figured what we would do is
So you're talking about like PlayStation is this going to hit the console? Because if it's just PlayStation, it's
correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. PlayStation is it's going to hit the console, not in terms of their announcements. Yeah. Correct. Thank you.
Because otherwise it would be, and
that's Spider-Man. It. That's the show.
Spider-Man. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We got it in under 90 seconds, not 90 minutes.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah. That's a challenge. Yeah, so if you want to jump in here on anything that interested you, piqued your interest, I should say, then feel free. And then at the end of it, we'll just kind of give maybe like our general thoughts on the show overall, I thought. So here we go. The show led off with a new 3D side-scrolling platformer game from Ubisoft called Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. You might have heard of that one. And it's coming January 18th, 2024. And this struck me as being from the team that did Immortals: Phoenix Rising. Actually, yes, I thought it was an Immortals game.
Yeah, I had that moment like when it kicked off. I'm like, "This is Prince of Persia." Wait, hang on, is it Immortals? Right. Hang on. Yeah, it was interesting. Like they've taken that visual aesthetic from Immortals: Phoenix Rising, which I fucking love. I think that game is brilliant.
Yeah,
but I was like, have they reskinned? Like, have they? I mean, knowing the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time is like indefinitely delayed, is this kind of like what they did with it? Because this is very reminiscent in a lot of ways of the original Prince of Persia, like the PC DOS version, but obviously ramped up and a bit more zoomed in, obviously with it, rather than the flat, very pixel design of the original. I love the original Prince of Persia, but I'm open to this.
After that, we saw NetherRealm Studios. They revealed their an extended look, I should say, at Mortal Kombat 1. And Mr. Ed Boon actually showed up and showed off some story, gameplay, cameo fighters, and the signature brutal fatalities, all in a pretty lengthy trailer. And I think this game's not my cup of tea, but I think it looks amazing. I think it looks wonderful.
See, from like I said, I'm not a big fan of Mortal Kombat either. Like I have an interesting stance on it. So, as someone that has previously worked in mental health and special mental health and gaming, I have a kind of a weird stance for the team. So when all the reports came out from the teams of NetherRealm that many of them were actually presenting with a lot of PTSD symptoms after essentially having to watch car crashes to deliver those fatalities.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I can't personally stand for that. Like, I'm like, that's gross. So
yeah,
I kind of have a thing with it. But even then, like coming off the back of just playing a lot of Dead Island 2 and like the hyper violence in that, I'm like, oh. Because watching this, I'm like, yeah, it looks fine. But to me, it looks no different to like 11. So apart from the only thing I've noticed was like the backgrounds are probably a bit more detailed and a bit more like a greater fidelity. But like the fighters themselves look the same. That's the benefit of a fighting game, right? Is because it's not as intense or heavy that you can get away with it having looking pretty good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like having JCVD, the old Jean-Claude Van Damme, is interesting.
Hell yeah.
The cameo characters is interesting. Like to me, it makes me think of Dragon Ball Fighters, but apparently it's very similar to like Marvel Capcom, Marvel versus Capcom back in the day. So having these individuals kind of run in and like do a couple punches and fuck off the side. So it's a cool idea.
Yeah, it looks cool. I didn't know that about the. I mean, that makes sense as far as the the research or the design of the game, them having to do that. But I mean, it does look brutal. There's no doubt about it. So,
well, because the idea is they want like the most realistic sort of like brutal, someone getting smash shit out of them. Like it's just it's just not cool for me.
Yeah, no, I get that totally. I mean, I won't.
Because like no game is no game in the same way that like crunch culture. Yeah. It's like no game is worth that much like pain. And the same rule applies here, man. There's
fair. So then we saw action RPG Path of Exile 2. Actually, they showed up after 2 years of silence with a first look at gameplay, and they promised more info on July 28th, and I thought that this looked like Diablo.
It did. It's got that. It's very much the same CRPG sort of look.
Yeah.
interestingly, like the woman just ran away more than anything. Like watching the
She
gameplay,
did, yeah.
she's like pew, like a little bit of lightning,
Yeah.
pew.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not good gameplay, man.
Right, right. I mean, it looked nice, but it looked like straight up like Diablo to me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll give it a chance. I never played the first Path of Exile, but I guess it's well, I don't know if it's on console now or not. I don't really know, but I mean, it
I'm
looked
not
neat,
sure.
but I don't know. I don't know if this. I mean, do you have any sense of how big Path of Exile is in comparison to Diablo? Like
Oh,
generally
okay.
speaking.
It's I think within the right community, it's pretty popular. Like it's like
Okay,
Diablo, obviously with its connection to Blizzard, is like one of the most widest reaching sort of looter
sure.
dungeony crawler things. Like when they said it, I went, oh yeah, Path of Exile, which like is a good thing. It's not like,
Hmm.
hey, it's a sequel to a game you've never heard of. Like, okay, but
Yeah,
no, the benefit here is it's something that you know at least.
yeah, exactly. So Capcom announced that Street Fighter 6 characters are coming to their upcoming Dino shooter Exoprimal this fall, but Exoprimal actually launches July 14th, and I'm actually pretty keen on Exoprimal. Got to play the beta.
Mm.
It's very fun, especially if you have friends to play with. But the Street Fighter crossover, I'm sure there will be like Resident Evil and stuff in there at some point too. So I guess that's neat. But that was kind of a minor announcement.
It's a smart call though, because Exoprimal,
Hmm.
when they announced it, was like, it's just Dino Crisis, and I was like, no, not even close.
Yeah, yeah,
So to, I guess, incentivize people to go check it out, it's a smart decision.
yeah. I agree.
Just to be like, hey, well, if you like Street Fighter, here's a cool little thing. The same way as like being an RE fan and also being a fan of the Division. When they released like the skins in the Division 2 for like, hey, you can have the
Yeah,
RCPD, I was like, holy shit. So I re-downloaded the Division just to get those skins. So I can understand the
really.
appeal
Yeah.
for someone to be like, oh, well, I want to see Ryu as a robot. I will do the Exo Primal thing.
Yeah, yeah. Have you played that game? It's a lot of fun.
No, I did not dive
Okay,
into the early accessy beta thing. Should have, but I
gotcha,
didn't.
gotcha. Then we saw a trailer for Nicolas Cage coming to Dead by Daylight as a playable character. He's going to be added to the game on July 25th, and Keeley went a step further and brought the man himself out on stage to talk about the collaboration. And we also got a brief look at him in game. He was a very cool character. I mean, he seemed very on script, I guess, but they
Mm.
always do when they're kind of out of their element at these events. But I thought that it was cool that he was there. And I don't care about Dead by Daylight, but it's cool to have someone as big as Nick Cage, I guess, in a video game, if you will. So
Yeah, most definitely, and obviously Keeley having his connections across the industry, entertainment
hmm
industry, not just games. So to have him come out is very cool. It
hmm
was one of those things I like watching Nick Cage. I'm like, I want. Imagine if he didn't get into acting, right? Like he was just this level of weirdo, charismatic individual, but
yeah.
he works at your local grocery. Like he was destined to do something cool, and I like
Yeah.
Dead by Daylight's not a game for me, but I understand its appeal for those that like horror, especially horror franchises.
hmm
So he is a kind of like a staple within just weird movie culture anyway. So to have him involved is really interesting. Like I know like Slipknot and Iron Maiden are getting tie-ins as well, but
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that.
I think the difference here is that Nick Cage is a playable survivor. Most of the
Mm,
introductions into the game are the person chasing you, the killer, I guess.
right.
So you know your Jason Voorhees, your Freddy Krueger's, etc., Pyramid Head. But so having him be a survivor is a different way of looking at it, rather than
Yeah.
because I don't think it quite makes sense for him to come in and be a killer, even though that'd be kind of to me that'd be funnier.
Yeah, I honestly I thought that at first. That's what which I think would be hilarious. Yes, I agree. If he was a killer or whatever, that how a villain, I think that would have been pretty funny. That would have been epic. I wish they would have done that, but I understand. So but he's played some kind of like, I mean, he's played villainous roles. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
don't know.
just
I
give
guess it's
me his character in Face Off. That'd be awesome. Him just like
yeah,
chewing the scenery all around
yeah,
you. Be incredible.
yeah. Then Henry Cavill, the good-looking Henry Cavill, and the
Mm.
cast of The Witcher, the totally good-looking cast of The Witcher. Quite honestly, they showed up and they shared a
It's
trailer.
kind of bullshit. There's so many attractive people in like one small location.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, no doubt. And they showed a new trailer for the new season of The Witcher, which is coming out on Netflix on June 29th. And so we got our first non-video game, I guess, promotion or tie-in here, and I'm pretty keen for the new season of The Witcher. Although it's Cavill's final season, if I remember correctly,
Yeah, so
as the
they're
lead.
swapping
So
over to the less enjoyable Hemsworth, Liam
yeah,
Hemsworth,
but
I think.
he's one of your compatriots, isn't he?
Yeah, he's from Australia, so
Oh, okay,
he's
okay,
look, we all wish we could be connected to the Hemsworths in some way,
uh
um,
huh,
you know. But yeah,
sure.
look, because they announced that this is season 3, volume 1. Obviously, there's that
Mm.
pivot in the middle where it switches to lesser Hemsworth.
Oh wow, wait, hang on a second. He's taking over midstream in the season.
I assume so because they did say season 3, volume 1.
Okay, wow, that would be some shit.
So
Hmm.
I don't know how they're going to explain that. It's like it was all a
Yeah,
dream, and this is Liam Lesser Hemsworth had
yeah,
dreamt himself as
yeah,
being
yeah.
Henry Cavill version of Geralt, and then it's like, oh no, I was sleeping the whole time, and I looked like fine, I guess.
Yeah, that's gonna be a very big, what's the word? That's gonna be a big shock. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess to the system whenever they make that switch for sure. Then first person shooter Witchfire, which has been kind of percolating on and off for years now, reemerged with a new gameplay trailer, and it's launching into early access on September the 20th. Although I know that they have said it at some point that that's coming to consoles. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure. So, but it doesn't sound like this year. But it looks neat.
Yeah, it looked alright. Like it's one of those things. Like I can tell, like you can tell which ones I cared about because I took more notes. Like so,
Yeah.
because I like to sit here and like write on a notepad as I'm watching this stuff. Like, oh yeah, cool.
Mhm.
There's the minor detail. Oh yeah, cool. But like the ones I'm like, oh, you can tell it's something I cared about.
Yeah. It goes from one sentence to a paragraph.
Yeah, so like a couple lines, like the key dot points. But
Yeah, yeah. So then Crossfire Sierra Squad, a first person shooter and Sony's first presence at the show, if you will. They showed up with a new gameplay trailer from Smilegate, and it's coming to PlayStation VR 2 sometime in August, we learned. And I think this game looks really, really cool, in my
it
opinion. But my problem is I can't do these free moving shooters in VR. But what are your thoughts?
I look, I get pretty gnarly motion sickness as well, but I find that
Yeah.
if I preload myself, like if I put the headset on and I play something that's a little bit more grounded, and then I
Uh huh.
work my way up, so I play like 20 minutes of something else and get my VR legs, and then I can go into like the free moving stuff.
Might have to try that.
I did find myself being, I guess, accidentally racist while watching this because I'm like, oh, is
Oh.
that Michael B. Jordan? No, it's some other black guy.
Sure.
Yeah, because he had like the dreads from like Killmonger
Yeah.
in Black Panther. I was like, oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
that's a great tie. And it's like, no, it's just some other fucking dude. I'm like, oh,
There was a trailer very reminiscent of those Call of Duty trailers with like Eminem and to your point, and like Eminem and Michael B. Jordan and all these people though, right? Did you get that vibe as well?
most definitely. And I think that's probably because
Yeah.
in the stream, I was like, is this Call? I think this might be Call of Duty because knowing the
Yeah.
Call of Duty season 4 was being covered in the show, I was like, oh, this
True.
makes sense if it's Michael B. Jordan. And it's like, no, it's just a dude. Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, shout out to that guy. I'm sure he is able to pull many women as he
Of
looks like Michael B. Jordan or
Yes.
men. It's
Yeah.
up to him.
Yeah. Any
Up to
any
them.
man or woman he chooses.
They can smash whoever they like. If I looked like Michael B. Jordan, I would smash whoever I wanted. It's the world I wish I lived in.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Don't we all? So then we saw survival action shooter Remnant 2, which shared a new gameplay trailer, and it's releasing July 25th. Certainly not for me. Not for me.
No, this is very much not
Yeah.
a me game. However, my co-host of my show, Max, he's a big
Mhm.
fan of co-op shooters, especially. If any sort of co-op
Yeah.
game gets him excited. And then you
Yeah.
add that sort of fantastical, almost like Lovecraftian sort of look to it. And he's like, he got a boner quite a number of times during the showcase. This is
Oh,
his
good.
first one, which was lovely.
Did you tell him that if it lasts longer than 4 hours to call a doctor?
Well, thankfully the show was less than 2 hours, so it was actually really handy
Oh,
for him.
sure.
Like
Fair.
he could like there are moments where there was like a stronger turgidity,
Uh,
but then it kind of
oh,
dissipated here and there. Like the next game being Sonic,
a little
I'm
more
sure it went
flaccid.
down a little bit. Like maybe not
Yeah.
all the way, but like enough
Yeah.
to like not be as usable as it once was.
Yeah. Speaking of Sonic, I went fully flaccid during this next announcement
I went
for
back
a
inside me somehow. I was like,
yes, the pre-birth version of me when the brand new Sonic co-op side-scrolling game was announced called Sonic Superstars. We're off the rails, and I love it. It's releasing this fall, Ryan, and yeah,
look, I have never understood the appeal of Sonic personally.
yeah,
Just it's not something like the gameplay. is just it does because there's like all this world that you can't explore because you're moving too fast. It's like what the fuck. My son though,
Yeah.
because he's 6 and he's 6, he loves Sonic. It's like shit that goes fast. So like he will love this game, and I'll probably get it for
Yeah.
him, and then I'll complain the whole time. But
See, the weird thing is I grew up playing Sonic on Sega Genesis and loved it. Like the original Sonic games, loved it. Had the, all the expansion packs. Like there was one you could load on top of another cartridge or some shit like that, like the Knuckles expansion or something like that.
yeah.
But now I couldn't be asked to worry about Sonic, to be quite honest.
So I had it on PC. They did like essentially like almost like the Mario All Stars. It was like a disc that had like a bunch of the different Sonics on it, and like I like Sonic, but like Knuckles was cool. I like Tails from like a traversal standpoint. Like Knuckles' ability to like punch and climb walls was way more appealing, and Tails being able to like hover back and be like, oh, I think I missed a bit. Hover back, hover back. Like that is way more appealing to me than just banging it in one direction.
Sure.
Oh, but if you want to talk about like, look, Sonic did nothing to me sexually, or even
we're comparing everything to how sexually turned.
Oh yeah, no, like the level of arousal is a great method of rating.
Sure,
because
fair.
The next game was it Henkai Star Rail. I literally just write. I'll show you my notes. Here you go. It just says, "I hate this. All of this."
I love that. I will tell you. So yes, after that, as Ryan mentioned, turn-based free-to-play RPG Honkai Star Rail was there with a new trailer that introduced a brand new character, and it also announced that it is coming, thank Christ, to PlayStation in the fourth quarter of this year. Yeah, and and as Ryan said, I hated all of it. I did not enjoy one thing about that. And the thing is, it's fucking huge, right? It's like 20 million people already play it on mobile or whatever the fuck. Like it's, it's a 10-cent thing. It's ginormous, but I could not give two fucks about it.
It does concern me that there's 20 million people with like this level of brain damage. Like that's an epidemic. That should be really looked into. But
it is.
It's very much known, like my stance around like anime and weeb culture. I fucking hate it, mostly because of a lot of the reasons in this game. What I saw, it's like the voices are overly childlike and sexualized, which I can't fucking stand. Alongside, it looks gross. Weird. It looks bad.
It's weird. Yeah.
Like the aesthetic is compared to the JRPG we see at the end of this showcase. You like just simply compare the voice acting and the delivery. Like just because it's Japanese inspired doesn't mean it has to sound like, "Hey man, let's go do that." And it makes it a fucking
I know
die.
Exactly what you mean. Yeah, I'm dead. Yeah, I'm already dead. Well, believe me, but I can't say it any better than that. So let's go on to a real game, which is a Soulsborne style game called Lies of P, which we've known about. It's a twist on the tale of Pinocchio, of course, and they showed a new trailer, but also revealed that it is launching September the 19th, and a demo is actually available right this very moment on the PlayStation Store.
Literally whipped my phone out midstream and just downloaded it from my phone.
Yeah.
Like, boop.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a shot. Soulsborne games, not for me, honestly, but the aesthetic of this, the art direction of this, the story of it, honestly, very appealing. So going to try the demo because it cost me $0.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat because I love Soulsborne games in idea. Right? I'm like, that seems really cool. And then I play it and I get my shit kicked in. I'm like, this game sucks. That happens every time. But like aesthetically, as you mentioned, like the design of this game is fantastic. Whether it be like it has a lot of that Bloodborne energy, which is in terms of its visuals. I love the Bloodborne visuals of that real sort of gothic-y early England Jack the Ripper sort of aesthetic. But then they've also thrown in a lot of steampunk here as well. So it's really interesting for me to see that. But yeah, thank God there's a demo because I don't have to spend any money or harass any PR company unnecessarily.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is cool. And then be like, oh, no, this game is not for me in gameplay at all.
All right. So after Lies of P, Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama showed up with Bandai Namco behind him, and he revealed, he wasn't there, but they revealed an open world adventure RPG called Sandland, which is coming to both PS4 and PS5 apparently. I mean, I don't know. I'm not totally turned off by it, but it has some of that Honkai Star Rail stuff going on to it, just a tad.
Yeah, but not as intense. Like
Yeah.
it didn't smash the anime trope so heavy. Like it
Yeah.
looks like early Dragon Ball, right? Because apparently it's based
Yeah.
on a manga,
Yeah.
which I don't know because I'm not a giant dork, but
Yeah, same.
apparently
Same.
yeah, apparently it's very Japanese Mad Max. I'm like, oh, that's cool. All
Oh,
right.
okay.
And like that as
That's
an
yeah, that
idea
is.
is pretty cool. And like visually, yeah, it
Mm.
nails that Toriyama look.
Mhm.
I ain't gonna play it,
Yeah, it
but
definitely looked Dragon Ball-esque, no doubt about that. Then publisher Annapurna Interactive showed off a teaser sizzle reel for their upcoming showcase, which they announced will be on June 29th. So we're getting announcements for showcases at showcases now, which
yeah,
is
it's
an
getting pretty
interesting
meta at
wrinkle.
this point.
Yeah, it sure is. Then free to play MMORPG Throne and Liberty from NCSoft and Amazon Games was there with a new gameplay trailer, but still no release date. And I think this looks very cool. Also, sidebar here, NCSoft is the developer slash publisher that's rumored to be making a Horizon MMO. So
Mm.
this is right in their wheelhouse. But I think Throne and Liberty looks pretty cool. I'm got my eye on that one.
It didn't really look for me personally,
Okay,
but
fair
that's
enough.
fine. Like I'm
Yeah,
excited once again because of the NCSoft and Amazon connection. Like 'cause from
yeah,
what I've
that
seen so
is.
far, Amazon have not like really been that rad. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, to sort of see what they can do in this space, and with it being a free to play like MMORPG, like that
Mm,
that that genre is it's a weird space to be in
yeah.
because like you've got your big hitters and they kind of win. But even
Hmm.
then, like, World of Warcraft doesn't quite have the love it used to.
Oh yeah.
Like there's room for something cool to come in there. Will this be it? Probably not. But
Hmm.
it could be.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of games like this, no doubt. I mean, these live service games, generally speaking, but free to play stuff like that, MMOs too. Speaking of, the very next announcement was another free to play game. It's a medieval fantasy RPG called Warhaven from Nexon, and it shared a trailer and revealed that it's releasing this fall. And I'm not quite clear if this is coming to consoles. I actually made a note with a question mark. I'm not totally sure or clear on that. So don't hold me to this. I don't know that this is for sure
Oh, I
coming to
will.
PlayStation. Oh yeah,
I'm not gonna remember it, but
I'm gonna bookmark it. Write the
yeah,
timestamp
that's
down.
right. And then
26,
yeah,
twenty-nine.
if it doesn't come to console, you're gonna get a message from him and be like, "You piece of shit! Like you
Yeah,
fucking
you
lied to me.
motherfucker.
You made me look like a
Yeah.
dickhead."
Oh, and then we got a weird kind of update from Dying Light 2. They had a brief news drop and they said that basically they have more updates coming, one this month and one later this month. Which I don't know. I kind of found that we had two odd announcements in a row here. I thought the Dying Light 2 one was odd, and then immediately after that we had like a 20-second sizzle trailer for Crash Team Rumble, and I think it announced it's releasing later this month. Did you make a note on that? I couldn't. It was so fast. I don't even know what the
Yeah, I
fuck
didn't write
happened.
down a date because I was like, "Is this wasn't it was a Crash Bash? No, it wasn't called Crash Bash. It was called something else." So I had a moment when I was
Yeah.
just trying to rattle my brain for what it was called.
Well,
But
that's all you had was a moment, and it was fucking over.
yeah, you're like,
So
and it's gone. But it was such a weird
yeah.
cut because it was like because tonally they're so different. Like it was
Yes.
kind of like Dying Light cut, no fade to black, just bam, straight into like
Yeah.
Wampa fruits and like.
Yeah.
But Dying Light 2, I'm happy that it's getting more supported because one of the greatest things that
Yeah.
Dying Light 1 received was literally years of support. Even up until
Yeah.
the moment Dying Light 2 released, they were
Yeah.
still pumping out DLCs and updates and supporting the original. And if Dying Light 2 gets any sort of that same level of support, holy shit, this game's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Like was what they talked about was like that there's new season content, and they've also sort of updated the controls. I think they mentioned updated the parkour, and also sort of added some intensity to because the big thing about Dying Light is the night. There's zombies during the day, but during the night the
Right.
zombies get cranked up. And it sounds like that with this new update, if you so choose, you can crank them even harder. That's a cool
Ooh.
idea.
Ooh. Love cranking harder.
Yeah. Back
Yeah.
to penises.
Anyway, it didn't take long. So after those couple of rando announcements, if you will, Mr. Sam Lake joined the show live and in person
Dude,
to
what
show
like
the first.
what an engaging dude, by the way. He's always has
He really
been, but
is.
like he has a
Yeah, he
unique
really is.
face
Yes,
Everyone
he
knows from
does.
Max Payne, obviously, but like he walks out and he's not even doing anything interesting, and I'm like, this dude's charming me, you
The
know?
coolest thing about him is that that's not his real name. He obviously has some
Yeah,
type of like overly like Finnish or Swedish. I think it's
finish,
Finnish. Like
yeah.
yeah, he has some like overly Finnish name that no one can pronounce. That's American or that speaks English. So he just like, all right, my name's Mister Sam, or my name Mister Sam. My name's Sam Lake.
Yeah.
So I just think that's a cool little piece of his lore. But
Yeah, because I quite like the Finnish accent as well. Like, because the way they like,
mhm.
I find it interesting the way they speak English. It just kind of
Yes,
makes me chuckle. So like, that's probably
yes,
another reason that was enticing to me. But then they showed off some raw, they called it sexual
yeah.
gameplay, uncut and raw.
Oh,
Like I'm pretty sure I've seen that
oh,
video. It was good.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
of Sam Lake.
Alan
Ooh.
Wake, uncut and raw.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Sam Lake
Bigger,
too.
longer, and uncut. South Park. Yeah. So they show like the gameplay of Alan Wake 2, and you see the
Hmm.
character of the FBI, and they sort of the FBI the woman whose name escapes me right now, but they essentially allude.
Saga Anderson.
Yes, no one. Sorry, yeah, and they essentially allude that you can hot swap between the two. Like it's two stories going on at once, and if you want to, you can play pretty much the
Hmm.
entire campaign as like Alan, and then at the
Yes.
end they'll switch it, or you can kind of jump between. So that makes me think of like the old school horror games, like which coincidentally is coming out relatively soon, Alone in the Dark. So
Mm.
I remember Alone in the Dark: A New Nightmare on PS2. Like there are two characters that you can play, and it's essentially two complete campaigns, and they cross over in the same way like Resident Evil 2, right? You know, you can play as these two characters, and they cross over at moments, and
Sure.
I love that. Like just from a replayability standpoint, like, well, I'm going to play one campaign as this, one person the other, or I play it a third time and swap at key moments now that I know all the beats.
I got to be honest. I've played the first Alan Wake and I really enjoyed it. I played it on Xbox 360 actually, and this one I was super excited about to hear that it existed, and then my excitement waned when I heard about that it was going to be like full blown survival horror. I was like, I don't do scary shit, not for me. But then after seeing this gameplay, I'm like, oh, I can totally do this.
Yeah.
Like to me, what I saw today anyway, it looks no scarier, more tense to me, in my opinion, than some of the worst parts of The Last of Us Part 2. Like, there's
Yeah.
some pretty fucking, like, nerve-wracking parts of The Last of Us Part 2, and that's what it reminded me of, and I think I'm in on this. I'm back in on Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, at least like from the what we saw from the raw, it was
Yeah. From the raw dog.
yeah. Like it feels like it has more of a unsettling suspense survival horror feel
Yes.
rather than,
Mhm.
like like intense gore or jump scares. Or there was a bit of a jumpy scare in there a little bit, but like the
Yeah.
presence that it sort of establishes this constant sense of unease.
Mhm.
And like one thing I noticed is like, visually the game looks fantastic. It's running on Unreal Engine 5. And the only thing I noticed was the map that they used on like the mapping of the floor. Like
Yeah.
it looked like it was supposed to have texture, but it really didn't. It felt really flat, especially compared to the rest of the
Mhm.
world, which is really high detail ferns, high detail buildings. Like it
Yeah.
looks incredible. But yeah, and then there's just like, oh, okay, well, for me, I was drawn to the ground for some reason.
Yeah. I didn't notice that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I like the aesthetic with the weird sort of like culty,
Yeah.
forest shit. Very
It's very True Detective-ish.
True Detective is the same thing as I said on stream. And
Yeah.
I don't remember either Matthew McConaughey or Woody Harrelson being a black woman, but who knows? Um, but no, I'm super
I
intrigued.
mean,
Super intrigued. Like
yeah.
I haven't finished Alan Wake 1. Like I did get the
Oh,
remaster when it dropped, but I couldn't remember whether it was circumstance at the time or I was like distracted by another game that came out. I think it dropped right around a Christmassy window. Um,
yes. Yeah, that rings a bell.
yeah, and I was like, oh, I started it. I went, oh, cool. And then I went, oh, what's over here? And I ADHD'd really
Yeah.
hard and went on to something
Yeah.
else. But it's something I've been meaning to go back to.
Yeah, I've thought about it, but, I just kinda wanna leave it as I remember it. I've thought about it, though, but I think I'll just wait for the second one. And, he did say on stage, "You don't have to have played the first one to understand the second one," he said. So, that's pretty cool because 'cause it's been such a big gap between
Mm.
games, so there's that if you all don't really feel like going back to play the first one. So then Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 showed up with a new gameplay trailer and revealed that it has a co-op campaign for up to 3 players, and it's launching this winter on PS5. And I think this looks cool. This is very much a Gears of War looking, and I know Warhammer came before, but like this looks like straight up Gears of War to me. So lots of visceral combat and cutting shit up and whatever. So it looks cool.
So I'm I'm an old 40K player from 20 years ago, maybe.
Oh, okay.
So like I'm always intrigued by like Warhammer, especially and 40K as a franchise, and
Yeah.
like Space Marines are relatively boring, but like the 20 whatever year it was, the PlayStation 3 game of Space Marine was sick. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and having the play like the enemies in the game are the Tyranids, which are these really cool super alien-y creatures, like a lot of pointy arms and shit. So like they're really
Okay.
fun to like mow down, and visually they're going to be quite interesting to take on, especially compared to like the more military bland look of the Space Marines. But
Yeah.
I think it captures like the size and the weight of the Space Marine armor, and that's like very lumbering. I think that's where you're getting
Yeah.
that Gears of War influence, because Gears of War is
Definitely.
very heavy, as like whatever his Phoenix, whatever his name is, they're all like super chunky,
Yeah.
and they
Yes.
move slow accordingly. But it looks cool.
I
If
agree.
it happens to pop up in my inbox, sure, I'm not going to actively go buy it or seek it, but if it comes my way, I'll be like, yeah, why not?
Yeah. I would kind of agree with that. To me, it's like a looks cool, wait for sale kind of game,
Yeah.
but maybe it'll fucking blow me away. I don't know. Saber Interactive, Focus
A
Entertainment,
lot
and
of Saber and Focus in this show, by the way.
yes, you're right, very heavy with both of those, and they were joined by horror legend John Carpenter for a project announcement. It's a brand new co-op zombie shooter called John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, which is an awful name in my opinion, but it's releasing. It's releasing in 2024. I was very meh on this. It's another one of these, is what I thought. So I don't know what you thought about that one.
I enjoyed the use of Bon Jovi.
Yeah,
That got me
100%. That was the
excited. Then
best
I
part.
realized my
Yeah.
stream's probably going to get hit with a strike. So I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no, I did sing along, and John Bovine Jovi.
Uh-huh.
Always Sunny reference. Look, yeah, it looks like a fucking poo. It looks like
Yeah.
a first person State of Decay, and like I quite like
Yeah.
State of Decay. State of Decay 2, I had a lot of fun with. It's not quite there for me.
Yeah. Agreed. And then Larian introduced a new antagonist via trailer for Baldur's Gate 3, which is launching August 31st. And I get it. It's a big one. I get it, but I don't know if I'll play it or not. It looks cool. Like their games are always super intrigue me. Like Divinity, Original Sin, whatever. Like the second one, they always intrigue me. But I just know those are fucking time sinks. But anyway, I'm sure people will be excited about that.
Look, so yeah, Baldur's Gate, like, not really for me. Like, I know it's been sort of available for the better part of like 3 years on PC, and like they, have been adding to it. So like, if someone's into that, like
Mhm.
harder RPG, yeah, sweet, bonus for them. But like, not so much for me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of boners,
Yeah,
though, Ryan,
yeah.
we finally got a big one for our audience here, and I predicted this one. It wasn't a huge stretch, but I figured this was going to be here. Insomniac Games showed up with new details for Spider-Man 2, courtesy of creative director Brian Inethar. I think's how you say his name. Brian talked some new details with Mr. Keeley, but he also announced that the game will be releasing on October the 20th, 2023, and pre-orders will go live on June 16th. And we finally have our date. What do you think?
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where I'm like, why didn't they do this last week?
Yeah, they clearly had a marketing deal with him, right? I mean, that's all it was.
It would have to be like, because knowing the PlayStation were going to be there in some capacity, like I was sort of
Yeah,
hoping that it would be something outside of this. Because
sure,
this is pretty
same.
like, in terms of like this is the only PlayStation first party thing that is here. But it's like,
Hmm.
well, why wouldn't you've done this last week with your showcase? I understand that the game that the Summer Game Fest is a way larger reach than ever,
Yeah,
but
true.
this date is an important piece of news. Like if they did it last
Hmm.
week at the PlayStation Showcase, there was no other showcase. That would have owned the news cycle.
Yeah, now
Right
we've got three
now,
other things this weekend.
yeah, this is going to be lost in the sea of all of this.
Yeah,
And that's a weird
100%.
thing for me. But I am excited for October.
Yeah.
It's giving some breathing room between it and Starfield, which was because the idea was
Mm.
like, are they going to drop it the same day as Starfield in that September window? But
Yeah,
October
yeah,
makes
true.
sense. It's as late as PlayStation like to release. They don't really like to
Yeah.
touch November or December, at least previously. Like except for I think the Last Guardian's really the only exception, but that was because they just had to get it out. So they normally don't touch Q4.
Yeah.
It's a good time right ahead of Christmas. Is that near? What's the thing after Thanksgiving that you guys have? Black Friday?
Yeah, Black Friday. Yeah, I would imagine that it helps push the rumored PS5 Slim console or discless console, whatever that we believe is going to come with the game when it
Yeah.
launches at some point.
Well,
So,
and I think you're bang on there. Like having it drop in
mhm.
around this window allows a lot of bundles to be put together. Like, hey, buy a
Oh yeah,
PS5 and Spider-Man 2. So, like, come that
yeah,
Christmas window, like we're going to see a lot of Spider-Man PS5s under trees.
100%.
But so they did also announce on Twitter and through the blog, through the PlayStation blog, the deluxe edition, the digital deluxe edition, as well as the collector's edition. So it comes with this
Mhm.
19-inch statue of Venom, just like yeeting Miles with like Peter off the
Fuck
side,
yeah.
and I want it so fucking bad.
I saw it's $230 US, correct?
So that's like $8,000 dues. So that's gonna be fun.
That's correct.
It's gonna be like $500, I reckon, easy, which is
Yeah,
brutal.
yeah.
But yeah, there's not a
Mhm.
lot of crap in it. It's just that not 119 statue. So it's not. It may not. Probably like 450, I reckon.
Mhm.
The only cash that I have is so with my new job, I'll be starting to fly interstate, and I fly back from Sydney to here in Geelong at 9:50 on Friday mornings when I land. Pre-orders go live at 10. So I sure
Oh
hope
shit.
my flight ain't delayed because I
Oh
need that
shit.
statue. And like, yes,
Yes.
I've got connections with PlayStation Australia, but not quite collector's edition connections, right? So like,
Right,
I'll get
right.
a copy of the game, no doubt, but not a fucking statue.
Yeah. You need the statue. I haven't seen it, but it sounds dope.
Yeah, I
Sounds
shared it on
dope.
my Twitter if you're interested.
Okay. Check that out while we move on here to the
Well, actually,
next
if you
one.
want to have a quick squiz, I'll touch upon the next game.
Okay.
So the next game was called Pal World, and as Jeff Keighley states, it's Pokemon with guns, and it's not wrong because a lot of
No.
the creatures in this just look like Pokemon, like straight up, like
Straight up.
carbon fucking
Yeah.
copies. Like Doug Bowser's about to sue somebody. Like it's not looking good.
Fuck. I need that collector's edition. That's so
Isn't it
dope.
cool?
Okay, yes. Yes, Pokemon with guns is 100% accurate. That's exactly what it is. Like a third person shooter with Pokemon. That's it.
But like, yeah, like even like there's the Pokemon that looks exactly like Latios, whatever the fuck, and that sheepy
Uh-huh.
looking one. Like there's just like unapologetically ripping it.
Yes, they really are. It's very, very close. And like you said, I don't know how they totally get away with that one, but I guess it's derivative in a way because there's guns.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the catch. But it said that it's hitting early access in January, which means PC. So it's
Which
still
also means it's probably not releasing in full because they're about to get a cease and desist. So
yeah, that that too. But it remains unclear. This is another one of those to me. And of course, we're doing this immediately. I'm sure there's PR out there now that clears this up, but it's unclear right now at the time of recording if this is even coming to PlayStation. So we'll see. And then we got another kind of like blink and you miss it almost weird update from South Korean developer Pearl Abyss, who admittedly makes very cool shit, has a lot of cool shit in development. But they, I think, shared a new trailer for a Black Desert Online expansion. It said it was coming out June 14th, I think. But I also am unclear if that's just a PC or also a console.
I just wrote
too,
Black
so.
Desert.
Yeah.
And knowing of my accidental racism earlier, I was like, oh no, what have I assumed here?
Yeah.
But no, it turned out I was okay. I was accurate.
Yes, correct. Oh, bullet dodged. And then we saw I have no idea what this game is. I think, Ryan, it's a city building horde survival game called The Lord of the Rings Return to Moria. And I believe that it's releasing this fall on PlayStation. Do you have any clarity on what type of game this is, or did you take away the same thing?
So to me, yeah, because obviously, so it's just focusing on the dwarves of the Lord of the Rings universe. You know, the mines of Moria, like it's the mines that lead to the underground city where the dwarves are all like live and born and shit. To me, yeah, it looks like a kind of a. I'm sensing like a procedurally generated sort of, sort of set up the idea. It's like, hey, you've got to mine your way through to here. So you'll enter a room and it's, it's made by a computer. And then you're like, well, there's the door over there. I got to build a
Mm.
path to get there, whether take out walls, build paths, whichever. So it does kind of look like a building survival
Mm-hmm.
sort of horde game. I think you kind of nailed it on the description there. I literally just wrote dwarf building game ? So yeah, look, it's intriguing. I hope it's not in the same
Yeah.
universe as Golem, because that universe is anus. But
Yes. Yeah, it's I enjoy the films. I somewhat enjoy the Amazon show that people are
didn't
very
watch it.
low on, but I'm also not like in the weeds on the lore and the books and or whatever, all that stuff. So that I have a very cursory interest in it, which is probably why I enjoy it more than the purists, let's say. So
Yeah, I
it's a
enjoyed the initial trilogy. Like, they were really fantastic
yeah.
pieces of cinema, and I really like how they made a 100-page book into 17 hours with the Hobbit trilogy. That was interesting.
Uh-huh.
Once again, a very impressive feat, but like, Jesus Christ, that's overstayed its welcome. And I didn't watch the Amazon show just because it looked poo, so I just didn't even
Mm.
try. But this looks interesting. It's an interesting take. It's in the same way
Yeah.
that
It's different.
I enjoy Star Wars when they don't focus on the Skywalkers.
Mm.
The fact that this is Lord of the Rings, but it doesn't involve the Ring or Gollum or like hobbits
Mm.
or anything like that, like it kind of intrigues me in that sense, because it's like where it
Mm-hmm.
expands on the overall universe or world lore, which is
Mm-hmm.
way more appealing. Because that's one of the things I like. Tangent. I like about The Last Jedi is The Last Jedi establishes as the cool shit happens fucking outside of the Skywalkers, all right? And then,
Yeah.
in Rise of Skywalker, they went, no, fuck all them. It's just the Skywalkers you got to care about.
Yeah, it's a much bigger place than that. The universe
Yeah,
is.
it's a
And
galaxy far, far away, but it only affects like 12
correct.
people.
Correct. Correct. So then Focus Entertainment, as you pointed out earlier, came back for yet another not announcement, but another update. It's a new trailer for their third person ghost hunting game called Banishers Ghost of New Eden. And
Hmm.
it revealed that it's releasing late this year, and I'm very keen about this game. Very keen for this game. This looks good to me. I'm in.
I didn't write any extra notes, so I assume it was fine. And I was probably making
Oh,
fun
okay.
of Max for his previous erections because they announced the mobile version of Final Fantasy VII, the Ever Crisis. And I was like,
Oh yeah,
this
yeah.
game looks poo. And he yelled at me in chat, I'm sure. And I got distracted
It
and
does
didn't
look
pay
terrible,
attention to
that
this
one.
game. So,
Oh, well, it looks good. I'm about it. So we'll see. But late this year, that screams I'm going to get delayed to 2024. Typically, when a game says that, so we'll see. And then, Like a Dragon Gaiden from Ryuga Gotoku Studio showed a new trailer, and they announced that it's launching November the 9th, which actually leaked prior to the show. But I'm not into the Like a Dragon or the Yakuza stuff, excuse me, without stuttering. So, but I don't know. It looks like more Like a Dragon,
I
I
like the
guess.
name of it, though. The Man Who Erased His Name. Like, it is like also super
Yeah.
fucking anime. But
Yes.
Yakuza's a series that's always caught my interest. I'm like, ooh,
Mhm.
you're a cool sort of like third person, actiony sort of game, but you're fucking weird, and
Yeah.
I love a good bit of weird.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
Oh
idea of
yeah.
like
I
midway
will do
through like
respect it for that.
kung fuing people in a back alley and having these intense family dramas, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go do some Dance Dance Revolution. I'm like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah. It is super fucking weird and campy. So I do respect it for that, no doubt. But after that, we got a very intriguing game. It's a deep ocean Firewatch esque,
it's
I
like
would say,
Subnautica
game.
energy.
Yeah, yeah. It's called Under the Waves, and it was announced, and it's releasing relatively soon on August the 29th for PS4 and PS5. And I'm feeling this.
Yeah, look, so I personally like I have a big fear of like space and deep water because it's
Mm,
just falling in
okay.
different directions,
Yeah.
and like underwater is like fucking horrifying. But
Yeah, I do hate big bodies of water, no doubt. Like
yeah,
I'm not keen on getting in the ocean and stuff like that, for
no,
sure.
but like it's interesting. So like I tried to play Subnautica or
Mhm.
Soma and I wanted to die. So this kind of looks interesting in that space, but yeah, it's interesting enough that I'd be like, ooh, I'm not gonna play you, but you got a well earned ooh.
You got a ooh.
Yeah, that's a well-earned one. Yeah.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
didn't quite get the turgidity, as I mentioned, but you got a little wiggle. There's a little bit of movement there, just a smidge.
Yeah, just a little, little something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just letting you know it's there. It's like, oh,
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
I'm yeah. If I keep stimulating this, we could get somewhere, But
Indeed. Indeed.
sadly, the next thing was Call of Duty, which did nothing.
Yeah. Then the next thing is, like you said, Call of Duty. And it's, it's always at these things. And they just gave us a new look at the upcoming 4th season of post-launch content for Warzone 2.0 and Modern Warfare 2, which, I mean, I guess it looks cool. I just don't play the game, so I don't appreciate it. But I'm sure people are very excited about it.
Yeah, so it's a new map called Vondel, which I thought they said Fondle, and I chuckled.
Yeah.
But it's like a dense urban environment, so like a lot of cities, a lot of tight corners, a lot of close combat, which I think's a lot of fun because especially when you do Warzone, where it's the big open spaces, that it's very easy to be sniped at a distance and be like, what the fuck? Or at
Yes.
least here you can see the person blow you and blow the shit out of you like seconds before you
blow
even
you.
see them. Like, oh, you're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But look, I enjoyed DMZ
Oh, you did? Oh,
so
yeah.
much more.
Yeah, you did have a spell in DMZ, didn't you?
Yeah, Max is still like loving it. He adores that, and he's
Really?
hoping that like this gets involved in DMZ, but probably not. But I know this is not PlayStation related, but can we just talk about the fucking hideous Xboxes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what was that? What was that again?
So to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Porsche or Porsche.
Oh, yes.
Microsoft, so they announced that Microsoft are making these custom Xboxes that are inspired by the various Porsche cars over the last 75 years. And apparently, or at least according to the Xbox that we saw, all the previous Porsches were fucking hideous. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I didn't.
I love a good custom console, but no.
Yeah, I'm not big on that like crossover collaboration, whatever. Like, don't design a console after a fucking car anniversary. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like
unless they're going to announce something Forza related at the Xbox showcase in a couple of days.
Yeah, well,
that would be the only reason that you would want to do that collaboration. But like, why not announce that now, or why not hold off until 2 days from now?
Yeah, check hasn't cleared yet. That's why.
Admittedly, the next game that was shown, now it's not on a PlayStation, but it's very much a Betson game, is Fae Farm. So being the massive fan of farming sims that I am, I saw this and went, ooh.
Yeah.
And then it kind of had like, silly fucking magicalness to it. I'm like, okay, well, you fucking better win me over on this. And like it intrigued me at least, but then it's coming to PC and Switch. So thumbs down from me.
Massive fart noise for sure. And
it was a fart noise, and like what it was an intrigued. It was like a half chub, really. It was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And then it went PC, and then I lost it again. I was like, oh well.
Yeah, actually, my literal note says after a bunch of mobile crap, developer Airship Syndicate brought us back to life with a new trailer for their free-to-play online action RPG Wayfinder, Ryan, which is launching in early access.
Oh, there's a gap. Like, look at my notes. So you see, it's like game, gap. I'm like, because I was clearly distracted by fucking something.
It's because there was like 4 mobile announcements in a row or some shit like that.
Yeah, I probably just like had a small stroke and just glazed over for a moment.
Yeah. So, but Wayfinder's coming to early access actually on PlayStation because they do dabble in that now a bit, and it's coming this summer for early access, full 1.0 release as a free-to-play game later this year. And I'm actually very into this game. I'm very into it. Played the beta, one of the closed betas. This is definitely for me. So I'm very intrigued by this, and I might, do one of those founders packs or whatever. I'm considering it. So we'll see. And it doesn't sound like it's for you though, because you have a gap there in your notes. But after that, we have Star Trek Infinite. I think. I don't know if that's a PlayStation game.
Yeah. So there was like a Stellaris and an Unreal Editor for Fortnite and Star Trek. I'm like, because this is a thing. Star Trek's fucking nerds. Yeah. Like Star Wars is where it's at. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So like,
Infinite,
fuck this game.
Yeah. Star Trek's dorks for sure.
Yeah.
no doubt. But it said something about a full reveal on June 16th, but I didn't really get a sense of if this was for PlayStation.
I didn't even want a partial reveal. I didn't want a little reveal. A full reveal, nothing for me.
We don't need a full flashing. We don't
want full frontal Star Trek.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We want like softcore Star Trek's too much.
I love it. Lots of Star Trek hate hate on the show here.
Speaking of like what became hate and then turned around though,
Oh,
like they Twisted Metal teaser.
yeah, that was interesting. That was next, and that was introduced by Will Arnett, who voices Sweet Tooth on the show for Peacock, which is releasing at the end of July. But we saw our first really like trailer. I mean, we've seen a trailer for it, but like of actual some shit going on
Mm.
of between Sweet Tooth and the John Doe character who's played by Anthony Mackie. What did you think about this? I'm curious to see your thoughts on this, or to hear
So
your thoughts on
I
this.
really was curious as to why they dubbed Will Arnett's voice over the top. So the
Yeah,
actor
yeah,
that is playing Sweet Tooth is a current AEW wrestler, ex WWE wrestler, ex Ring of Honor wrestler, Samoa Joe. So like from a visual aesthetic, fucking Samoa Joe looks the part. It
yeah,
look like the mask, the body, like it looks rad. I
yeah,
don't like Anthony Mackie all that much. He's fine, but like Samoa Joe was like in terms of Sweet Tooth looked brilliant.
yeah.
Like he choke
Absolutely.
slams me into a table, and the little wrestling nerd of me going ah, and then they use like the thong song, and they chat about the silver dragon. That's an interesting sort of thing. It did feel like a little bit of that Marvel quip,
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
it didn't really fit the theme.
Yeah.
It didn't
That's
fit the energy of it. Just kind of was there
yeah.
to like, hey, we're silly.
Yeah.
But once again, in the greater context of the show, because it is supposed to be like a comedy-esque series, it might fit better.
I think you nailed it in terms of I think that we need more and to
Yeah.
really understand because this was obviously pulled from probably I mean maybe the first episode of the show, but it didn't look
I would
like it.
assume so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it could be, so I
The fact that they like have just sort of introduced the characters together.
yeah,
He's like,
true.
you didn't know who I am. Like, you shot at me, yeah, because I shoot. Yeah, everyone shoots at me, so I just shot back. Like, I didn't know who you were.
Yeah.
I think this might be the establish.
I'm fine with comedy. Like no problem with the show being like whatever.
Oh, I
Like
comedy too. Yeah.
yeah, no problem with the show being having like that zombie land energy or whatever. To your point, I don't want it to be a full on like Guardians of the Galaxy
Mm.
Marvel type of writing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I feel like unnecessarily tied in music. Like it
Yes.
does have that Guardians. Like Guardians probably an apt
Yeah.
description of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't need the licensed music all the time. I mean, they didn't have. I don't. Did they play the music or were they just singing the song? No,
No,
they were
no, they
playing
played
it.
it.
They were playing the thong song. Yeah, a great song by the way. I mean, don't get it twisted. But
It's true.
yeah,
And Samoa Joe, does have dumps like a truck
he does.
and thighs like what?
Yes. So I guess the long story short is that I'm open to this, but I'm
Mm.
guarded against it as to what the end product is. I'm not sold yet. So
Yeah, like I'm not gonna. We probably won't cover it in the same way that we did The Last of Us. Like we did like a
yeah,
breakdown of each episode. Like I don't see us doing that for Twisted Metal because I don't
mhm,
think there's enough lore in Twisted Metal to make it interesting
for
or enough
sure.
character. But like we'll certainly check it out. Like it's releasing here in Australia at the same time, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm interested. I'm open.
So we started to get into the home stretch here, Ryan, with Electronic Arts showing off another trailer for their first person magic shooter, Immortals of Avium. And it's launching July 20th, excuse me, for PS5. And looks I'm digging this quite a bit. I just wish they would quit showing the fucking game. Like we've seen enough already. And it's about to come out. So just fuck off for a while. But anyway, what do you think?
So we were very lucky in that EA Australia
Did you do the
gave
preview
us
thing at
access
the end of May?
to a preview thing. So that was fucking
Yeah.
cool. So we
Yeah.
got to see a lot of it. I don't think all the stuff we saw has come out yet, but a lot of it's mostly the same. In terms of like the description of like it's Doom with magic is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the previous trailers that they've shown, I feel were very intense. Of like boom, 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 boom. So they
Hmm.
didn't really hang on a lot of stuff. Where here, I think they reduced some of that frenetic energy and showed what I think is more of your standard gameplay experience.
Yeah.
So it's there is a grapple hook, grapple swinging or whatever, mixed with some like slowed down animations. It's like you're clearly seeing what the actual gameplay experience is rather than just being a bombardment of the senses.
Sure. It looks good. I just wish I have a comment about Final Fantasy 16 later on too, in the same vein, but I just feel like I'm seeing too much of it and especially when it's just right around the corner. And like, we know how the game plays. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know you have to have a marketing cycle. I get it, but I just don't know that we need to see more and more and more gameplay at this point. Like, I think I would give it a rest for a while. So,
Yeah, we are very much hitting that saturation point with Immortals of Avium, and it was a
mhm.
circumstance when I saw it, I went, "Oh, again?"
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So then Epic Games revealed the new season of Fortnite, which appears to take place you're the Transformers guy. Is it taking place in Cybertron? Like, what's going on here? It's got rideable dinosaurs. Optimus Prime is there. What the fuck's going on here?
I don't believe it. Like, I'm not a big like I said, I didn't grow up with Trans. I'm just watching it because like my kid likes it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like my mate though, he's a
It's
massive
on a jungle
Transformers
map,
guy.
is what I saw.
Yeah, so it looked kind of like a jungly sort of Aztec-y sort of
Mhm.
feel. So I'm not quite sure how the Transformers tie into it,
Yeah.
but all this does is reaffirm that Fortnite is this weird fucking fever dream
Yeah,
where
100%.
just everything you've ever thought of in your life just like fucks, like it just comes together in one space. And
Yes.
admittedly, like to their credit, like of the style that they use for Fortnite, it
Mm.
doesn't look out of place to have like an Optimus Prime human height
Oh, yeah.
running alongside some fish face dude, like
Yeah,
on dinosaurs.
yeah.
Like I'm wondering whether there's going to be some Jurassic Park fucking crossover or something, but
Ooh,
like,
okay.
because that like they're riding like, the dinosaurs kind of look like Blue from Jurassic World, but
True.
Jurassic World hasn't been relevant in years because Dominion was bumhole and the one
Mm.
before it was pretty poo hole too.
Mhm.
So like I'm interested in why they're like heading into that. Like I don't follow Fortnite at all.
Yeah.
Like the only reason I get excited when they're like, "Hey, there's a new PlayStation related skin," I'm like, "Ooh, Kratos, you say?" And then
Yeah.
it's like $35 Australian. I'm like, "Get fucked."
It is. It's way expensive. I will tell you, I dabble in Fortnite about once a year, kind of like Rainbow
Mm.
Six Siege. And I admit, man, Fortnite, when I play it, it is a lot of fun. I have a good time with it. So I get it totally. It is a fun game. Totally get it. But you're 100% right. It's a fucking fever dream, just a mishmash of all these properties and IP. Like, they can just do fucking any at this point. It's insane.
Which in and of itself is incredibly impressive.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. I respect it greatly, deeply. And so that was the penultimate reveal of the show, which ended, Ryan, with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And they showed a new gameplay trailer, they being Square Enix. And it's now releasing early next year for PS5 after previously being announced, I believe, for this December. So I think
Yeah,
it's
so
a
they
slight
essentially
delay.
said the winter of 2023, which winter of
Yeah,
2023 technically is December through to February.
true.
So in terms of if we're looking at like fiscal quarters or like release quarters,
Hmm.
like it's matches the seasons.
Yeah.
So they had technically until the like the 28th or 29th of of June
Hmm.
for June, February.
Right.
So by having it drop in like January is actually not that bad because January is pretty quiet. But if anything, if February's been anything like the last couple of years, like expect it mid Feb with like 11 other games around it.
100%. 100%. It's not for me, by the way. I understand it.
Yeah.
Looks cool, looks great. Not for me. Like, that was when I went from turgid to flaccid right there at the very end.
Yeah. So like this is that moment where all the tantric buildup that Max had throughout the entire showcase came together in one eruption.
He climaxed.
He climaxed so hard. So shout out to Max destroying his own pants. But
Uh,
like I enjoyed 7 Remake. I never finished it, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And I can certainly see the appeal here. And as I said, like before, this is how you handle a JRPG
mhm.
in that it does have that anime aesthetic or, that traditionally Japanese aesthetic, but the voice acting is incredible. They
Yeah.
sound like real people,
Yeah, true.
and like there's nuance in their voice and
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like these ramped up, like, ugh, it's horrible. But like this, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
The voice work is brilliant. Like everything about it makes me go, I wish I liked Final Fantasy.
That's exactly how I feel about it. I want to be every time I see something Final Fantasy, especially Final Fantasy 16, I'm like, God, this
Yeah.
does look cool. Like, it looks awesome. Looks badass. They're just, destroying shit, like high production value. I get it, but I'm just like, fuck, I just can't do it. So yes, every time I see it, I'm like, I wish I liked this, but I just can't. I just can't.
Yeah.
So the show is over. Generally speaking, what's your high level thoughts on the good, bad, average, whatever?
It was fine.
Yeah.
It's the same, very similar to the showcase. It was fine. Like there was a couple, like there was no, what was the quote for the original showcase? Was going to blow your dick off or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gonna blow your
neither the
dick off.
showcase
Oh,
nor
yeah.
this blew my dick off. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Should have I have gotten up at 4:30 in the morning for a 5 o'clock showcase? No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. But allowed me to do this show, so that's a fucking win.
There you go.
It's like it was very much like, oh, cool. I probably could have like every year. I'm like, oh, I would have just watched the highlights of this.
Right.
Like I'm not. It was fine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like in terms of variety. Like impressively, it had a wide variety of games, bunch of different genres, some big hitters with your Final Fantasies and your stuff like that. So like there is a lot there if you're into that stuff.
Yeah.
So like if you look at it, subjectively, not for me. Objectively, yeah, it was actually pretty great. Like there was a couple of strong standouts, a couple of indies, and like lesser known games. A good like swath of AA, which I think something that's really lacking in a lot of spaces. Yes, there's some games that like even though we kind of had a feeling Final Fantasy Rebirth was going to be doing something with their really bizarre fucking tweets. That's like, yes, the game will have music. I'm like, thanks. But at least now, like we're actually seeing what it is, and it's like, oh, cool. This looks great. This looks fantastic.
Yeah, I feel the same way about the show. I think that subjectively for me, it was fine. I would say it was like a B minus, like borderline C plus B minus. And
I didn't hate myself watching it, so that's like a good thing.
Yeah, it was fine. But objectively, with this, the big reveal at the end, I understand that's huge from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There were some other things in there that were big. It's probably better for other people than it is for me, which is typically what people say about me. And I honestly, my opinion, and of course, this is just my personal feelings. For me, the PlayStation Showcase was better. But with that said, there are some obvious big holes in the PlayStation Showcase: lack of gameplay, lack of release dates, etc. I understand that, but in terms of just the things that we saw there and my level of excitement or intrigue towards them, I skew towards the PlayStation Showcase because they're outside of like 5 or 6 games at the PlayStation Showcase. All of those, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's potentially for me. And this, I would say, is like maybe half of what we saw at Summer Game Fest. So that's my barometer, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
I don't disagree, but I don't agree either.
That's fair.
That I think the showcase was, I don't know whether it was better, but I think the difference is that I had expectation going into that.
Okay.
And I think that affected my thoughts of the showcase. However, I had no expectation going into this. So I was like, okay, cool. And I think that's probably the big key difference is in terms of what I cover and what I care about. Like there was a lot more writing on that showcase.
Yeah.
Like with like once again, to their credit, the thing that I hate about the Game Awards is it even though this is, all showcases are just giant fucking an hour of advertising. This didn't, like, Jeff Keighley knew to not be in it.
Yeah.
Like the Game Awards is disadvantaged by the high frequency of Jeff Keighley. And I mean that not in a bad way. He's not a bad person. He's not a bad presenter. But because he's the one running the show and planning the show and so heavily involved in the show, there's always that sense he's just trying to push it forward.
Yeah. You know, I've talked about that
always
before.
It's always like in the back of his head, he's like, okay, well, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, we've got to do this. Like he's always thinking about that next step.
Mm-hmm.
But by him having come in and he delivered a slicker version of E3 presentations in that there was, some uncomfortability. Like, they had they had like the dude from Marvel Snap who a mate of mine messaged me and goes, I'm pretty sure this is an American version of you. I'm like, shut up. He's not wrong.
I can see that, man.
He came in at like an unreasonable level of energy, which is very me.
He did.
And he was like sitting at a whole different level to Keighley or any other one that come out. So he was like, like a punch to the face. but like having Sam Lake was cool, Nick Cage was cool. Like they limited the individuals coming on to have people that were confident enough to talk on a stage. There was no like uncomfortability in terms of someone coming and going, "Hi, I'm really excited to play this game. I hope you like
yeah.
it."
Yeah.
They didn't do that. There was no like Wii Music level awkwardness, right?
Yeah.
And I think they captured the essence of what an E3 showcase used to be from a rose tinted perspective, in that you remember the awesome times that someone came on stage, and they did that here. They knew that having a crowd would work to their advantage. They didn't have the crowd reactions piped in over the trailers. They
Yeah.
had it. They had the crowd noise whenever they pulled away from the video.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. Like they really handled that balance quite well, I feel.
Yeah,
And
it was a very tight production, I will say.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really demonstrated what the other showcases or directs miss by not having a human involved.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like we're just watching a fucking highlight reel for, an hour
Like
without it.
it had a different feel knowing that it's
Sure.
on stage somewhere. Like it feels different in here. I'm pointing to my balls, by the way, not my
Right.
chest. Like it feels different in your chest and balls.
Yeah.
Watching a stage show and like knowing that there's a crowd there, and like when they pull back and there's like hype or whatever, like when essentially Jeff was like, the rumors are true, here's Final Fantasy, and for that moment when they had the crowd noise pipe in at the beginning of the trailer and then they pulled it back, like that was a good, because everyone went, oh shit,
Yeah.
and then they let people enjoy the trailer.
You're right, there is something to that element of it being live that adds a little
it was a very
mystique.
well put together show.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of sexual energy here on the show tonight, Ryan, between you and I. So, per usual. But anyway, let's move on here. I do have some other PlayStation relevant news that we'll go over. You have no idea what I'm about to say. I did not send you any,
go.
Yeah, I didn't send you any notes. So we're just gonna roll with it. I have one news item and a bunch of news nuggets and then the new releases. And then we'll fuck off. So here we go. Number 2, Sony revealed the month of May's most downloaded games on the PlayStation Store this week, and they include on PlayStation 5, the top download was Star Wars Jedi Survivor, followed by GTA 5, Dead Island 2, NBA 2K23, MLB The Show 23, Mortal Kombat 11, Hogwarts Legacy, FIFA 23, Modern Warfare 2, Need for Speed Unbound, Madden 23, WWE 2K23, NHL 23, so many fucking 23s. Resident Evil 3, threes in general, Spider-Man Remastered, Far Cry 6, Gotham Knights, Resident Evil 4, Alan Wake Remastered, and number 20 was Space Engineers. Over on PS4, the top download was Hogleg, which is Hogwarts Legacy, of course, followed by Minecraft, FIFA 23, UFC 4, Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA 5, NBA 2K23, Dead Island Definitive Edition, Batman Arkham Knight, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Mortal Kombat 11, Gang Beast, MLB The Show 23, Black Ops 3, Modern Warfare 2, The Division 2, Madden 23, Injustice 2, Mortal Kombat 10, and Dead Island 2 at number 20. On PSVR 2, the top download was Beat Saber, Walkabout Mini Golf, Red Matter 2, Pavlov, Pistol Whip, Creed Rise to Glory, Championship Edition, Job Simulator, Kayak VR Mirage, Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, and at number 10 was Swordsman VR. And on free to play, nothing to report really. Everything was pretty much unchanged, although the newly released racer Trackmania from Ubisoft charted at number 7. Okay, so I don't know how much you picked up on that, but does anything of that stand out to you?
First of all, it's impressive for the amount of sports games, as always.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Looking at the disparity between your PS5 and your PS4, where the PS4 has a lot of old titles, where the PS5 has a lot of new titles. So it's starting to show that the proliferation of the PS5 is really coming strong. In that, a lot of the games, it's like PSVR 1 compared to PSVR 2, right? There's a lot of PSVR 1 games, the same old PSVR games, right?
Yeah, I didn't even mention that. I'm letting it die.
Yeah, with the PS4, we're seeing like Minecraft, because it's still yet to get a PS5 next gen port.
Yeah,
like Red Dead, like all these things that are like prominent, but like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, that's an old game. Oh, that's interesting. Where PS5 is like, Hogwarts Legacy, understandably ahead of PS4 because it came out this month on PS4 after releasing PS5 earlier in the year. Jedi Survivor going up top, complete Makes complete sense. Like Fallen Order just seem to
Yep.
always want to sell. So there's a lot of bodies that would be interested in it.
Dead Island 2 at number 3 really caught my eye on PS5 for, I mean, that seems really high for that game. I mean, I know it's selling well, but that seems high.
I think it's been on
Yeah.
sale recently.
Okay.
I think is
Okay.
probably helped. But I mean, like once again, if you look at it, sort of like it's a game that came out a yonk ago,
Yeah.
so like there'd have to be an incentive for it to hit this high, and I think it's probably been on sale. And I know a lot of the original like launch jank has sort of faded, which I think is a positive. What's fascinating is that if you look at the PSVR 2,
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say.
no Horizon.
Yep. I noticed that too. It has faded fast, and
Yeah.
my thought on that is I graphic as a showcase of what VR can be, especially the first 15 minutes of it, very cool. Beyond that, I don't think it's a very good game. I mean, let me back up. It's
The
a
fact I haven't
fine,
gone back to it tells you
it's a perfectly
something.
fine game, in my opinion. So the other thing I wanted to point out about PSVR 2 before we move on here is that 3 new releases are at the top of the charts, which means that people are buying video games on PSVR 2.
Well, Beat Saber is a free upgrade, so that's easy.
True. Fair play. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So that makes complete sense. And Beat Saber being one of the most prominent VR titles across all the headsets certainly works to its favor.
True.
Also, shout out to WWE 2K23 because I like wrestling.
That's your people wrestling.
Oh man, yeah, dude. Every Thursday it's GM mode. I am the undisputed world heavyweight WWE 2K23 champion of my lounge room.
That's right. I love it. All right, number 3, Ryan. We also have a bunch of news nuggets here, smaller news items, if you will, and feel free to jump in here if anyone tickles your fancy.
I'm an overly opinionated person, so I'm going to jump in at some point.
Fine by me. First nugget. No Man's Sky released its 10th expedition this week called Singularity. It's available now for no charge for owners of the game.
I love the support that Hello Games have given No Man's Sky. However, the problem is the core of that game is still shit. And like, it's just not fun. And then they've managed to layer a whole bunch of crap on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, all this crap is really cool. And then you play it and you go, oh, yeah.
It's very grindy. Very grindy. Like resource gathering, management, very grindy. But one day I'm going to go back to it and just spend some time with it and see how far it's come, for sure. Website Video Games Chronicle reported that Diablo 4 is Blizzard Entertainment's fastest selling game of all time, with over 93 million hours played in the early access period alone in terms of pure gameplay. Yeah. Speaking of Diablo 4, the first player to hit level 100 in hardcore mode was confirmed this week, but they almost
have no friends.
Yeah, but they almost immediately died. Or I'm sorry, almost immediately suffered a disconnect from the game servers, which registers as a death in game, meaning that they had to start completely over at level 1, which obviously is the epitome of brutal.
Suck a dick, that guy.
Yeah.
I'm glad he avoided all that sex and like female contact he would have had
Lost it all.
had he not chosen. Yeah, all for nothing.
Yeah.
All for nothing. No, seriously, like well done to that dude, but also what the fuck?
Yes. And Blizzard says they're already working on 2 expansions for the game. So if you haven't,
that's good. That makes sense.
Yeah. But I fucking love.
I haven't. Have you been playing Diablo 4?
Yes. Oh yeah. So Blizzard kindly provided like half of the website with codes for the most expensive version, which is incredible. So
hell yeah.
So shout out to Blizzard. Thank you kindly for that. And we've been playing it nonstop, and I fucking love it. When I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about it. It's really my first Diablo game, and I get it totally. I understand 100% what people see in the IP and in the game. So yeah, it's fucking awesome if you haven't played it. And this is a good gateway, I think. Easy to pick up, great gameplay loop, and anyway. So we also got a new PS5 firmware update this week, which you might guess improves system performance. Yeah, system awesome. Performance improvements. So there's that.
Cool, because my system was running like trash before this. I'm really glad that I did that.
Yeah, same. Street Fighter 6 is the 29th game to receive a perfect score of 40 from Japanese publication Famitsu, and the second such game within a month. The other, of course, being Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Ryan's favorite game. Street Fighter 6 also
I haven't
sold.
played it, but I'm sure it's poo.
Yes, absolutely. Street Fighter 6 also sold 1 million copies in its first week on the market, so it's doing very well so far. And they have aspirations of
Like, it
selling 2
looks
million.
good. It's played great. I haven't spent a lot of time with it. We were kindly provided a code from Capcom Australia. Thank you.
Sweet.
And it's fucking rad. like, it's
Yeah.
what it is. It's pretty sweet. Yeah,
I bought it, have not played
I'm always
it.
the Tekken guy though, so like,
Oh,
I found a character that was closest to like Eddie Gordo. It's just some like Jamaican dude who does the capoeira. I'm like,
yeah,
and then I instantly cared about Street Fighter
yes.
in that one moment.
I bought Street Fighter 6 because I enjoyed the beta, and then I saw the reviews. I'm like, 92 on Metacritic. What the fuck? I'm like, I gotta buy this. So haven't got to play it yet because I've been sucked into Diablo.
Yeah, I've been playing a metric ton of like gas station simulator.
I have that too. I bought that. I haven't played it yet.
So I haven't, I got a really good gas station going on right now, but like,
Not bad.
there's a bunch of games I should be playing instead.
Absolutely. There's always something else. Also, Disney Dreamlight Valley received its next big update this week. It's called The Remembering, and it features the addition of Cinderella's fairy godmother that tickles your fancy. BioWare is reportedly being replaced as Star Wars The Old Republic developer by Broadsword Online Games so that the studio can focus on Mass Effect and Dragon Age. So, whatever that means.
Well, the Old Republic being the MMO, so it makes sense to
the original, like the old one.
Wait, what?
So this is not Knights of the Old Republic?
So the Knights of the Old Republic is the old RPG that BioWare made.
Okay.
But the Old Republic is the MMO.
Jesus Christ, how can I keep up with all this?
Let me have a look. Hang on.
No, that
Star
makes sense.
Wars, the Old Republic. BioWare were a developer on it. So okay, yeah. So essentially, it's them going, well, we're going to step away from the ongoing support of the Old Republic, and so we can focus on something else, which is fine because the game itself has been out for, let's have a look. What year did it drop? In 2008. So that's a long time to support it, and I'm sure they can palm it off to somebody else.
Makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Got it. Let's see here. Oh yeah, speaking of Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2, we got the update at Summer Game Fest, but we also know that the 4th season is going to include a new Warzone map, as Ryan mentioned earlier, but 7 new multiplayer maps, new operators, and new weapons. That's your cup of tea. Heist shooter Payday 3 had its release date leak, courtesy of data miner Aggiornamenti Lumia. Has to be an Italian person. Yeah, great name. Who claims that it's going to release on September the 21st. Developer Starbreeze claimed in January that Payday 2 had sold over 40 million copies since its release in 2013, which sounds inaccurate, but also astounding. And I'm super excited for Payday 3. I can't fucking wait for that. It's being made on Unreal Engine 5.
I really love the idea of Payday.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Payday 2, but no one would want to, like, because the AI in that game blows.
Yeah, it really does.
I had no one that wanted to play with me. So I was like, well, and like they design, like there's no way for you to succeed in a heist by yourself.
Correct.
It's just not possible.
Yeah, it literally is impossible. I know exactly what you mean. So 3 looks, we don't know what it looks like yet, but it sounds wonderful. Hopefully we'll be seeing something.
Yeah,
I'm
open to it, but I no doubt will have no one that want to play with me. So I'm like, oh.
Capcom announced that it will be hosting a showcase on June 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. They plan to share updates on Dragon's Dogma 2, Exoprimal, and Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, as well as other titles. So, should be a good show. Roguelike game Dead Cells has crossed 10 million copies sold and announced that more DLC will be coming to the game.
Genuinely impressive.
Yeah, it's crazy. Those guys are millionaires. I think they are like a cell phone company or whatever, so they're all fucking just filthy rich. Developer Grasshopper Manufacturer, led by Suda51, says that they will make some sort of announcement on June the 15th. There's that.
That's fucking ambiguous.
It very much is. Sony CEO Kenichiro Yoshida warned during a recent interview with the Financial Times that technical issues still remain for full-on cloud-based gaming, but added that the company wants to, quote-unquote, take on those challenges.
Well, it's like that is a massive thing, and because even right now, even to this day here in Australia, we still don't have PlayStation Now.
Yeah, I forget about that every time.
Yeah, so every time they announce these games that are coming as part of your, what's the upper tier called for you guys? Platinum, Premium?
Yeah, Premium.
PS Plus Premium.
Mm-hmm.
So we get a bastardized version called PS Plus Deluxe.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
We
forgot
get all
about
the
that.
PS1 classics, which they proceed to not give a shit about. Um,
Yes,
but we get none of the PS3 games.
that blows.
So we get an absolute bastardized version, and there seems to be no real reason. I think the understanding is that the internet infrastructure in Australia is poo, which
Mm.
it is, but it's better than it was. So like, I still don't know why it hasn't dropped here yet, and it's frustrating.
Yeah. Do you think is his name pronounced Kenichiro or Kenichiro? I've heard it both ways. Do you have any idea? I don't know. I don't want to
I'm a
butcher the
white
man's
guy. I
name.
don't know how to say shit. It's like when I wasn't sure how to pronounce like Ghost of Tsushima because
Yeah.
I didn't want to say Tsushima because sushi
Sushi.
is like I implied that I was being accidentally racist.
Yeah.
So I was like Tsushima.
Yeah.
They're like, no, it's Tsushima. I'm like, okay,
Okay. You say so.
cool. All right. I just didn't want to like turn into like I thought I was just westernizing it because
Yeah.
sushi. But no, it turns out like that was correct.
Oh.
I just it's once again English, white, Australian. I'm gonna butcher whatever you tell me anyway.
Also, puzzle game Viewfinder will release on July the 18th for PS5 and a free
Or if you're
demo.
Australian, viewfinder.
Viewfinder.
See?
Yeah.
Even a simple word we obliterate and make horrible.
I love it though. It's so great. If you ever listen to our show, you know that I absolutely butcher the Australian accent on the reg, but I try.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, no, with Sega.
Sega. Also, a free demo is available now of Viewfinder on the PlayStation Store if you're interested. Publisher Paradox Interactive is offering refunds for pre-orders of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 because they plan to
Yeah,
update
good.
the game's various editions and want to allow players the choice to opt out should they choose. So, kind of cool, I guess.
I think that's the one that's been delayed like indefinitely, so that's probably a good.
Yeah,
idea.
they're teasing some type of big announcement too for that. Paradox
it's a big,
is
just a big cancellation. The big announcement is we fucking give up. It was bad.
we're done trying with this motherfucker.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna
Like,
announce.
fuck, yeah, just there's announced the statement just says "fuck this noise," but on one of those apology like
Yeah.
gifs,
Yes.
apology JPEG, but just says,
Yeah.
"Dear customers, fuck this noise.
Yeah.
Vampire the Masquerade is cancelled."
It's on the fucking letterhead or whatever, the key art.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck. Also, Square Enix shared 18 more minutes. 18 more minutes
Whoa!
of Final Fantasy 16 gameplay this week. If
Why?
you're interested, this is what I wanted to tell you. What the fuck are they doing? Like, why are they showing us so much? We've seen enough. We fucking know what it is. How can anybody want to see this much Final Fantasy 16 before 2 weeks from now?
Weebs are an intense bunch, but
I guess so.
I know codes are out there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't have one, but like I know they're out there. So, which is an assumption with it knowing it's coming out in a couple weeks. Like, it's a reasonable assumption to make regardless.
Yeah, sure.
I guess it's just trying to hype everyone up, and I maybe with the idea of thinking that with them leading, knowing the Final Fantasy Rebirth was going to be announced today, that like they're like, hey, like that's coming in the future, but look at what's happening now.
Yeah,
because like a big part of like why are they hinting at Final Fantasy VII when they're burying their own game here?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Good on them. I mean, it's gonna. Well, there's another note in here. I'll go ahead and bring this up. So apparently, I can't remember who. Imran Khan. I think he's a journalist. I don't remember who for, but he has said that he's hearing that Square Enix is, I guess, quote unquote, slightly panicking over the pre-order numbers for Final Fantasy.
I
16.
did hear that, but see, we discussed this in this week's episode of our show as well, and I think I understand the hesitation, but you think about like right now, like you look at their pre-order bonuses, quote unquote. There's nothing. Like it's 3 digital trinkets. It's useless, really.
Yeah.
So what, like in terms of the benefit of a pre-order is incentive.
True. And
the collector's editions, or at least here in Australia, sold out instantaneously. Right? There was like no room. They sold out. They were like $600, $700 fucking collector's editions, and they sold out. So they're worrying about pre-orders in some fashion, but it's a Final Fantasy game,
right?
And it's a throwback to like a medieval sort of Final Fantasy. It is going to sell well, but but with the way they're releasing the pre-order, there's no incentive for anyone to buy it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine.
And as we transition to the digital future, where there is no such thing as scarcity, because it's all ones and zeros, why pre-order it?
Yeah.
I once the download goes live, where you can pre-download it, I think they'll see an uptick in pre-orders.
Sure.
Because as of right now, there's no reason to pre-order it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fine. I don't know why people are. There's no need to freak out.
I think it's a mix of the old and new model, right? The old model is pre-orders are important because you need physical copies.
Mm-hmm.
Where now the pressure to pre-order is less.
Yeah,
I think it's not needed.
100%. Yeah. Next nugget, website Push Square reported that RPG Octopath Traveler 2, I should say, has hit 1 million units sold.
Ooh, that's lower than I thought.
Yeah, true. It's been out for a while.
It's good.
Right? Yeah.
It's still lower than I thought, yeah.
PlayStation Studios and Kojima Productions announced a documentary film collaboration called Hideo Kojima Connecting Worlds, which dives into the mind of the legendary game creator. So I don't know.
It's just Kojima just jerking himself.
I know, man. I don't like. I hate this. I mean, I like Kojima. But he's just a fucking egotistical maniac.
He is genuinely an auteur. I do think in a lot of ways he is like a incredibly unique mind.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And there is no one else like him in the world, and that in itself, or at least it's publicly known. And there's gonna be some fucking weirdo in the middle of Africa that has the same brain as Kojima, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where I find him very fascinating. And I'm a big fan. It's one of those things. As Death Stranding was coming in, I remember asking myself, I'm like, am I a Kojima fan? Am I a Metal Gear fan? Turns out I'm totally a Kojima fan because Death Stranding fucking rocks.
Yes, it does.
But I don't think the level of
sucking off.
Yeah, the sucking off of everyone around him. I don't think it's quite there. Yeah. I don't think we need an hour and a half of him just being friends with fucking famous people, or they're having these piece to cam interviews. Jeff Keighley's like, I want to kiss Kojima. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. And then it goes to Norman Reedus is like, I have kissed Kojima. Oh, good, fantastic. And then it's just that's what it has to be. Is it just going to be everyone patting his back for a couple hours?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
so interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Also, Western Digital announced officially licensed PlayStation 5 SSDs this week, which start at 1 terabyte for $150 and go up all the way to 4 terabytes for $560 US if you really want the PlayStation logo on your SSD.
Which you can't see because it's inside the case anyway.
Correct. And like you said, maybe if it had the sacred symbols on it, but not for the fucking logo.
Has the PS, that's fine. But you put those fucking symbols on them. Because I'm an idiot and have them tattooed on my arm. I'm that much of a nerd about them.
Yeah.
Put them on there and I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Oh, but I already have, it's right now, at least here in Australia, if you go to, one of our local retailers, any of the branded external hard drives, just because it has fucking The Last of Us or Spider-Man smooshed on it, it's $200 more for the exact same hard drive next to it that doesn't have any branding on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a giant fucking dork, and I could not justify that difference.
Absolutely.
That is ridiculous.
Also, insider Jeff Grubb says that Final Fantasy IX Remake is real and it's coming.
Pretty sure it got heavily dropped yesterday or announced or alluded to very heavily yesterday.
Maybe, yeah.
They're having a big Final Fantasy weekend. Everyone's just arcing ropes of jism everywhere.
They really are. It's just Final Fantasy this, Final Fantasy that, mobile game, Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah,
Remake.
It's just carpet bombing the world with fucking weeb jizz.
Yeah, you just can't escape it. You can't escape it. It's like Oppenheimer for Final Fantasy jizz.
Well done. That was brilliant.
Thank you for the softball. Thank you.
Oh, I set that up and just ripped it out of there. Well done. Holy shit.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Let's bring the Final Fantasy back down to earth with Farming Simulator 22, who received an update this week, which added competitive multiplayer modes to the game on PS4 and PS5, including 2 modes of such kind. One called Bell Stacking, which is about what it sounds like, and the other called Arena, which sees teams of 2 or 3 farmers, I can't remember, compete against each other. So this is something interesting to be sure, and I'm mildly intrigued by this.
There is legitimately an esports league for fucking farming sims.
I've heard. I didn't know that until this week. I can't fucking believe
it's goddamn ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I can't believe that. I found that out this week. I was like, is this fucking real? And it is. Yeah. Certainly. Nacon released fresh new gameplay for the upcoming RoboCop Rogue City, which actually looks pretty good, I think. I'm interested. I expected it to be worse, honestly. So
congratulations to like you didn't disappoint me.
Yeah.
Like that's a very low bar,
That's
but
fair.
it's a good one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Look, it's the same bar I have with my partner. I'm like, I didn't disappoint you. She goes, that's true. You did okay today. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, that's true. Also, co-op adventure game Jumanji, however you want to say it, Wild Adventures was announced for PS4 and PS5, and it's launching this November. And looks ass cheeks. Big time.
It does look ass. It does not look good. It looks absolute anus. Like the other ones previously weren't very good either. So
yeah,
at least they're continuing their thread. Right?
Sure.
The other, at least even like my son's 6 now, and like 3-4 years ago, like he was real like he was a kid. He was in a Paw Patrol. Like the first Paw Patrol game, Paw Patrol on a Roll, was shit.
Yeah.
The next one, they actually improved on it, and they're about to. They announced the third one, which is almost this open world game.
Oh yeah,
and it, like compared to Jumanji, where like it's the same garbage each time, they've genuinely like if Paw Patrol can make a better fucking level of evolution of game than anyone, that's ridiculous.
Yes.
Pick up your fucking game, Jumanji.
Yeah, they I can't believe a game is releasing in 2023 and it looks like that, quite honestly. Not from a major IP, I should say. But whatever. Also, EA Sports has been accused of exploiting college football players with low payouts to be included in their upcoming football game.
The NFL exploit college football.
Yes.
The NCAA exploit college football. EA is just following the mold.
That's right. They're allegedly paying each player $500 to be included in the game with no promise.
That's more than the NCAA
royalties.
give them, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. The news has led the College Football Players Association to urge players to boycott the deal altogether. So we can't fucking have anything in this country.
Yeah, how about they just boycott the whole fucking thing? Like, well, look, you're doing your uni studies. That's enough, right? Like, no, pay them what they're fucking worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so insane that that's a conversation that has to be had.
They're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars on that game when it comes out.
Yeah.
And they're going to pay, they've earmarked $5 million total to pay these guys. That's it. And they're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars on that fucking game.
It's anyway, garbage, eh?
Just fucking get it done because I want to play it. God damn it. All right.
I don't give a shit about NFL personally, but like,
yeah,
I'll stand up for people not being paid their dues. So
yeah, sure. Also, PlayStation Japan announced that they will host a 20th anniversary celebration of survival horror franchise Siren, which has fans hoping for a revival of the IP. But it's probably just going to be like some fucking music video or something weird. Yep. Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that EA Sports revealed Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen as the Madden 24 cover athlete, and the game launches on August the 18th for PS5 and PS4. I wish they would leave the PS4 behind. Is that a good thing? I haven't played Madden in a while, but I wish.
No, I mean in terms of the dude on the cover. Is that a good thing?
Oh yeah. I think definitely that checks out for me. First of all, he's the first Buffalo Bills player to ever be on the cover of Madden, which is interesting.
There you go.
But secondarily, in the last 5 years, I think he has the most touchdowns in the NFL. So there's that. As far as it being on PS4, I fucking hate that. I'm ready for. I'm sorry if you play on PS4. It's time to move on.
But then again, like if you think of MLB The Show, like they were releasing PS4 versions alongside like fucking PS2 and Vita.
Yeah, I think next year is the last year that we get cross-gen sports games. I think we'll still have I think PS4 will still be a thing in 2024 for sports titles and specifically. But I think after that, I think it'll get cut off, God willing. Next nugget, Hogwarts Legacy received a PlayStation Plus premium game trial this week, Ryan, but for only a whopping 45 minutes.
Whoa.
I mean, I don't know what the fuck they expect you to do in 45 minutes on that game, but
make a character, probably.
Make a character. Yeah, that's it. Asymmetrical horror game Friday the 13th, the game will be delisted from storefronts at the end of this year as publisher Gun Media, who is from Kentucky, by the way, shout out, they'll lose their license for the IP. Online servers will stay active for the game through at least the end of 2024. However, longtime Friday the 13th composer Harry Manfredini recently stated that he is working on music for a brand new Friday the 13th game with a more realistic art style.
With a better company.
Yeah.
With a better development team.
Yeah, 100%. It's probably like Unreal Engine 5. It's, somebody fucking big.
Like, look, no shitting on that. Like, it's just like, it has that same level of jank that like all the other sort of horror games have.
No doubt. Industry analytics firm Circana says that consumers are opting to buy their games outright instead of heading for subscription services like PlayStation Plus From April of 2022 to April of this year, subscription spending has increased by a measly 2%. Meanwhile, physical and digital versions of games are skyrocketing in sales. So that's quite interesting, in my opinion.
So yeah, to me it makes sense from because like I was having a discussion like literally between the showcase and me chatting to you
Uh-huh.
with a mate of mine around the idea of like why is the Spider-Man collector's edition coming with a digital copy? And I
Mm.
said because they don't have to print the disc.
Yep.
Like printing the disc is like the last thing they have to do
Mhm.
because what they can essentially do is just mass print keys, throw them in the box, have the collector's editions ready to go, sit in a warehouse now if they wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah,
So there's
absolutely.
no waiting on the game to go gold to put on a disc. And they guaranteed that people will get the best copy of the game
Mhm.
because it's updatable.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
then that way they don't have to make a PS5 and a PS4 SKU. They just make one SKU. But
Mm.
mind you, PS5, Spider-Man's only coming to PS5, it's slightly different. But
Right.
if you think about like a game that comes across all 4 platforms, right?
Mhm.
Whether it be PS5, PS4, Xbox, whatever, who'sma, rather than having to create like looking at the math, going, well, if we're going to have 10,000 PlayStation SKUs of this collector's edition, what's the division? Is it 6,000 PS5, 4,000 PS4s? Is it down
Mhm.
the middle? Like, who fucking cares? You can
Yeah.
just make it like a generic box. And then when
Right.
people go in, they use a key that they go to the website of the company, and then
That's
they
a good
go, "I
point.
want a PS5 code," and they went, "Yeah, here you go."
Yeah, that's a good point. That it takes the guesswork out of it, you know.
Yeah, it does mean that there's a steel book with no game in it, but
Yeah.
if you're a giant nerd about it, you'll buy a copy of the disc.
Yeah,
2 times the money.
there you go. Also, the Persona 3 remake leaked this week and actually has since been announced or leaked some more. And it's reportedly titled Persona 3 Reload. I think it's been confirmed. It's coming later this year for PS4 and PS5. So, not a Persona guy, but Persona 3 Reloaded. There's also a Persona Tactics game that was announced while we've been recording, and it's both of those games are coming.
Oh, would that be that P5T that was sort
Yeah,
of alluded to in the last couple of weeks? Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh, cool.
both of those have been announced since we've been recording. Website PlayStation Universe reported that the following games received update patches this week: Battlefield 2042, Wo Long Fallen Dynasty, Hogleg, No Man's Sky, and Diablo 4. So, if you've been waiting for some new content or patches, check those out. Resident Evil Village has crossed 8 million copies sold, according to Capcom, which is very impressive.
Game's awesome.
Croc Legends of the Gobos.
Oh,
Gobos? HD? I don't know
gobos,
that.
yeah.
I know Croc.
Gobos.
Gobos. I know Croc from PS1, but it's hazy for me. Don't remember too much.
Dude, that game sucks asshole. Like,
Okay.
it has I have a copy of it over there just to make fun of it. Like, the game sucks. It's a 3D platformer with tank controls. It
Okay.
blows.
Okay.
The
That
game
rings a bell now.
sucks.
I think it
Like
was on a
everyone
demo
remembers
disc.
like so fondly, and it's poo.
Yeah,
It's so poo.
I think it was on a demo disc. Well, I'm glad you like it because the HD
I don't
remaster of
like it. I fucking hate. I hate this HD version. I'm like,
Yeah,
gross.
it's
Thank
in
you.
early development, according to
Can they
Argonaut
stop?
Software
That's
founder.
enough time to stop.
Yeah. So it's coming, whether you like it or not.
Oh,
Yeah. Also, DICE confirmed that a sixth season of post launch content is in development for Battlefield 2042, which of course is music to my ears because I'm a big time Battlefield 2042 mark. Maybe the only one in the world. So, anyway, it's a very good game.
there's dozens of you. Dozens.
Dozens, literally dozens
Yeah.
of us. Also, Night Dive Studios' System Shock remake still needs, quote, a few more rounds of QA before making its way to consoles. So it's coming, but it's going to be a little bit. Cooperative action adventure game Atlas Fallen will feature a 4K 30 frames per second quality mode and a 1440p 60 frames per second performance mode when it launches on August the 10th on PS5. And I'm interested in that game. It looks kind of neat. Website Gematsu reported that medieval real-time strategy game The Valiant is coming to PS5 on July 11th. Rail shooter Operation Wolf Return's first mission VR has been delayed from June 22nd to July 13th on PSVR 2. Narrative adventure game Goodbye World will launch June 30th for PS4 and PS5. First-person shooter heist game Crime Boss Rockay City was announced to be coming to PS5 on June 15th.
Awesome. Because I was really excited about that game, but then it looked shit and reviewed very poorly.
I
Still
know.
want to play it though.
Yeah, same. Me and Travis are me and Travis feel the same way. We're like, okay, people say it's terrible, but we still want to fucking play it. So
Yeah, I want to play it. Like the cast alone is exciting.
yes, yeah, I agreed. Also, retro first-person shooter Rise of the Triad Ludicrous Edition will launch for PS4 and PS5 on July 31st.
Oh, what an interesting crossover for Ludacris. Nice.
Yeah. Cooperative multiplayer sandbox slice of life shooter. It's an amalgamation of things. My Time at Sandrock will launch September the 26th for PS5 and
Yeah,
later
sequel
later.
to my time at Porsche. So it's a
Yeah,
really cool farming-y sort of slice of life game, but like no
yeah.
combat, which is fucking dope.
Yeah, it looks. I'm in on this. I think I came across this news this week
Mm.
obviously, and I'm intrigued by this. So I'm gonna keep my eye on that. It's
Yeah, my time at Porsche is cheap as shit. So if you want to like get a
okay.
little taste of it, I'd
hmm
give it a bill. I'm pretty sure it's on PS Plus.
I think you're right. I think it's on the
Yeah,
catalog, the game
it's on
catalog
the
or whatever.
deluxe. Yeah, or whatever the middle fucking extra.
Yeah. My Time at Sandrock is also getting a PS4 version, but it's coming after the PS5 version. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak's title updates 4, 5, and 6 will all launch on August the 24th for PS5 and PS4, whatever that means. Cooperative action game Gangs of Sherwood will launch on October the 19th for PS5. F1 Manager 2023 will launch for PS4 and PS5 on July 31st. Medieval action RPG Enclave HD will launch June 29th for PS4 with a PS5 version coming quote unquote soon after. Side scrolling RPG Lisa Definitive Edition was announced for PS4 and PS5. It's launching July 18th. Puzzle platformer Dr. Fetus's Mean Meat Machine. Whoa, easy.
Hot.
Yeah, will launch for PS4 and PS5 on June 22nd, going up against Final Fantasy 16. Thrilling horror
Bold strategy,
game.
Cotton.
Yeah, By Sweet Carol was announced for PS4 and PS5 by developer Little Sewing Machine, and it's due out in 2024. Cosmic Horror RPG World of Horror will launch on October 19th, excuse me, for PS4 and PS5. Side-scrolling action adventure game Forgotlings was announced for PS4 and PS5, and it's scheduled to release in 2024. It looks kind of neat, actually. Pixel art RPG Terra Memoria was announced for PS5, but no release date was given. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is getting a new Dimension Shell Shock DLC later this year, which adds a new game mode and playable fighters. Shoot 'em up game Danmaku Unlimited 3 was announced for PS4 and is launching June 13th. And finally, Ryan Gamatsu reported that Collectathon side scrolling platformer Promenade was announced and it's coming to consoles later this year from developer Holy Cap Studio.
Good
That is
name.
all. Yeah, it is a good name. That's all for the news this week. And of course, we also have a little bit of new game releases here as we round third base here on the show. June 6th, we got Amnesia the Bunker for PS4, Diablo 4 for PS5 and 4, Loop 8 Summer of Gods for PS4, Raiden 3 Cross Mikado Maniacs for PS5 and 4, Swapstar for PS4. On June 7th, we got MotoGP 2023 for PS5 and 4, New Lands for PS4, Nocturnal for PS5 and 4, Senses Midnight for PS5 and 4, Terminal Velocity Boosted Edition for PS4, 2D and Top D for PS5 and PS4. On June 8th, we got Tour de France 2023 for PS5 and 4. And June 9th, we got Grey Hill Incident, which is a first person survival horror Gray Man Alien game. And it came to PS5 and PS4. So that's all for the new game releases, notwithstanding any shadow drops from any showcases. So that's it for new games. And Ryan, I think, is running out of time. So we won't necessarily dive into what we've been playing.
Yeah, no, I do. Sadly, I got to run off and go get some dentistry work done.
Yeah,
In
no
terms of
worries.
games I've been playing living fuck out of Dead Island 2. That game is super hyper violent. It's insane. Jedi Survivor is a lot better now. They've actively a lot of the patches have improved a lot of stability problems. So I'm finding that like there's less screen tearing, less hitching. Like the screen tearing is pretty much gone in most cases. The hitching however still happens in sort of intense moments, but it's a much more playable game now, which is fantastic. Playing a metric fuck ton of gas station simulator for no reason at all, just because I'm a moron, and that game tickles my fancy for some reason. That's kind of about it, really.
So for me, Battlefield 2042 with the new update, Super Mega Baseball 4, which I reviewed for Gaming Nexus, and it's a wonderful arcade baseball sim light. And then the last thing is Diablo 4, which, as I mentioned earlier, I've been completely sucked into. It's a wonderful game. So that's it for me. But that's it for Ryan, too. So, Ryan, thank you again for doing the show. Very much appreciate it. You're always very gracious with your time and joining the show and co-hosting with me whenever I need you. So very much appreciate it. I know you got to run, so I'll let you get to the dentist so they can rip all your teeth out. But thank you again.
It's pretty much the only option at this point, I think. No,
Yeah,
but no, look, dude, thank you so much for inviting me. It's like it's always genuinely a pleasure to sort of come and guest on shows in general, but even more to come do it with fellow PlayStation podcast brethren like yourself. No, it does genuinely means a lot to sort of still be that only guest.
that's right. On the way out the door here, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, of course. If you want to check out me, if for some reason my Australian dulcet tones intrigued you, you can check out my weekly PlayStation podcast called For the Players, the Pop Culturist PlayStation podcast. I have to refer to it in full because For the Players is not my trademark. And it releases every Monday morning Australian Eastern Standard Time at 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. on YouTube. So if you want to see what we look like, we do film it all in video on for YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at HaggardMC, HAGGARDMC. If you want to hear me talk about wrestling, PlayStation, and my kid, and just me bullshitting mostly, is a whole lot of fun. I think that kind of hit all the beats.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just hit episode 300, by the way. So congratulations to you and Travis for hitting 150.
Yeah,
we hit 300 last week, so look at us go.
Yeah, congrats to you guys. Doubled us up. You've been doing it a while, and your guys' show is great. But for us, if you want to catch our shows, you can, like I said, you can find us every Monday on all the usual podcast services. Don't forget to subscribe to get it delivered straight to you. Likes, comments, ratings, hearts, thumbs up, all that bullshit's very helpful. But even more helpful is if you share us word of mouth with someone that you love or care about. And we'll get out of here. Don't forget to find us on social media, on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. Thank you for listening to this very special episode with Ryan Betson, and we'll get out of here now. Take care. Have a great week. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Mwah.